Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jay, and welcome to the Shiplife. So as usual, we do have a lot of cruise news to unpack. We have a letter from a crew member that is claiming them, as well as others on board a specific ship, is receiving unfair treatment during this COVID era when it comes to the strict rules and health and safety protocols that are being implemented on board cruise ships. They're claiming that one group of people have the rules strictly enforced on them, while another can essentially do whatever they want. We will go over the details available when it comes to this situation, and I will also explain why, honestly, in my opinion, I'm not really surprised. We also have a very good update from Princess Cruise Lines that is guaranteed to bring a lot of optimism to the industry. We also have a country that is unfortunately extending their cruise pause and operations until later on in February. So let's go ahead and get into it. So recently, a crew member currently working on board the MSC Virtousa sent a letter over to the crew center, basically explaining that the cruise line has taken kind of like a rules for thee and not for me kind of stance when it comes to the health and safety protocols, rules, and regulations on board their ships. Now, we do know at this point in time, unfortunately during this COVID era, that all the crew on board every ship pretty much globally has a tremendous amount of stress, and there's a lot that they're dealing with when it comes to these rules and regulations. Now, just looking at the guests, we all know that if somebody has sailed on board a cruise ship, we already have a bunch of rules and regulations implemented on us. It is 10 times worse for the crew, and the pressure just keeps building up. And when you look at this situation that is potentially happening aboard the ship, you can understand how things could possibly progress and get worse. Now, I am going to take both sides and just kind of look at everything for what it actually is, but let's go over the details that are available. So due to the strict rules and regulations that are currently being implemented on board MSC ships that the crew members obviously have to adhere to, apparently coming from the crew member that wrote the letter is saying that allegedly they are getting warnings just for going outside and getting some fresh air. When it comes to crew members testing positive, apparently they have to isolate into an inside cabin, which is something that's not rare. It's been actually kind of the norm with the exception of a couple cruise lines like Virgin Voyages, for example. They are not put in a balcony. Now, I'll talk about this later. There's some people that do get this special privilege. But anyway, when the crew members have to isolate into an inside cabin, they do not get to go outside. They are in that cabin for several days, have the food delivered to them with no natural sunlight. Because of this reason, you have crew members that are saying, or rather, they're not reporting any symptoms that they may have for fear that they'll be put into isolation, which they know is going to drain them mentally, and it's something that they probably just don't want to get into. If they have symptoms or flu-like symptoms on board, a lot of them are just kind of, just shooing it away and pretending like they don't have them, which is something I could definitely see happening on board. Not trying to say it's a thing that everybody should be doing and it's something that's happening everywhere, but you guys get my point. It's only natural that a lot of people just don't want to be locked away in a room for even 5 to 10 days. But anyway, also when it comes to the crew, they are not allowed to leave their cabin except if it's to go to work or go to like an office space to get some work done, and if they are not getting food. When it comes to going outside, the only people that are apparently allowed outside on board MSC ships are the people that are going out for a smoke, which is a little weird, but that's kind of how it was in some particular situations when I was working on board my ships. Now, also, the gyms are closed. The crew bar is limited, which is pretty much one of the only social areas for crew members to go to. They can go over there and get a drink, but the limit is 2 drinks per day. So you see where I'm going with this. There are a lot of limitations that obviously are going to weigh heavy on the crew and in some cases even drain them mentally. Now, it is naturally normal and understandable that the crew members that are adhering to the rules and regulations that are currently being implemented on board cruise ships are not going to make them happy. But unfortunately, it's what the cruise lines have to do to avoid any type of media scrutiny and to obviously keep everybody on board, be it the guests and the crew, completely safe during this pandemic that we're currently dealing with. Now, here's the problem. There are crew members, at least according to the crew member that sent this letter out to the crew center, that is saying that crew members are even getting in trouble, but not just for going outside, but basically what the crew members would do, and this is something that I would do even when we were on ships, is go over to what we would call deck gate, basically the front of the ship that's only accessible to the crew, to use the terminal Wi-Fi. Why do we do this? Because the Wi-Fi typically on ships is crap. It's never really that good. Back when I worked for NCL, we had to pay like $20 for 220 minutes, and that would go faster than you think. And I've been on an MSC ship as a guest. It already wasn't the greatest, so I can imagine what the crew members are probably going through and what they probably have to pay for the Wi-Fi. So naturally, they do want to use the terminal Wi-Fi while the ship is docked in a terminal. That way they can contact their friends or family or maybe play Candy Crush. I don't know, whatever it is that they're doing. Either way, they're getting in trouble for being outside and not going inside, even if they don't have COVID. Now, here's the situation. Apparently there are crew members that are of like a higher rank that would be, of course, like your officers specifically, and maybe even your entertainers, that are not following the same rules that the other crew members have to follow, whether it be the socializing rule, which is basically not allowed and not existent on a lot of ships, specifically the MSC ship, according to the crew member. They're also saying that if a higher ranking crew member tests positive for COVID, apparently according to them, some may potentially not even go into isolation, but if they do, they get a balcony cabin, and they get a balcony cabin with a whirlpool in some cases as well. Now, I won't dive too deep into the situation because to me, this is kind of like a no-brainer. It's expected that people that are in a higher ranking position can kind of, tiptoe over certain rules. Now, I'm not saying it's right in any way, but whether it be something in politics or even a manager at a grocery store, everyone has seen the rules being bent and kind of flip-flopped around and not adhered to for higher ranking people that work in these industries and even on board cruise ships. The cruise ship industry is literally no exception. Now, again, I'm not saying it's right, but this is somewhat kind of normal. Now, I will look at both sides of this. Like I said, it is somewhat expected. And of course, there are no matter what going to be people that are going to just like not want to follow every single rule. They're going to bend the rules because of the simple fact that they know they can. There are going to be crew members that are going to be kind of walking around in certain areas that they shouldn't be in. I experienced this even on board my ship when I was working for NCL. There are just going to be situations where people are going to do what they want, knowing that they can't get caught because maybe they're friends with security or, again, they are of a higher ranking situation. But also, when it comes to the crew members that maybe are dealing with these situations, it does suck because imagine dealing with all these rules and protocols and regulations and basically having your social life kind of being destroyed and you only being able to go to your cabin and go to work. You're going to look at these people and say, what the heck, this is not right. And naturally, especially on a ship, I talk about this all the time, it is going to take a mental toll on all the crew members, which obviously is not good. Anyway, I do always believe in the term lead by example, but we are just going to leave this right here. If there is an update as far as this letter goes, I will, of course, do a video on it. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section below, because I do believe there is going to be some division. People are going to feel one way or the other about this. Some people are going to say that the crew should expect this kind of thing to happen on board cruise ships, and some people are also going to agree that it's wrong. But I want to hear your thoughts, so make sure you let me know. Now, moving on to some really great and optimistic cruise news. Princess Cruise Line's newest ship, the Discovery Princess, has officially been delivered to them. Now, this ship is the 6th and final Royal Class ship. It's also the 15th Medallion Class ship, which is basically the most technologically advanced cruise ship out there. They got really cool things on board their ships that other ones don't. Like, for example, and apparently really great Wi-Fi, which I'll have to check out at some point. Now, this ship is set to sail out of LA on March 27th for their inaugural sailing, going over to the Mexican Riviera, and then a couple weeks later they will eventually be sailing out of Alaska. Now, personally, I've never been on a Princess cruise ship, but I have heard really great things, and I've been trying to go to Alaska for a very long time. I want to do some whale watching, so I might have to jump on this ship. Either way, guys, if you are set to go on Discovery Princess, let me know in the comment section below, and I am curious everybody else's personal experience as far as whoever has been on a Princess ship. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is Princess a good brand, or should maybe I try like a Celebrity or something like that? Because I figure they're kind of in like the same class, sorta, kinda, but not really. Just anyway, let's talk about it in the comments. Now, while we sail into our last topic for today's video, you guys should definitely hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That way you can stay updated whenever I post more videos like this. We have to talk about Brazil because they have unfortunately extended their pause in operations another 14 days till February 18th. Now, there are MSC ships and Costa ships that are currently sailing out of Brazil, but unfortunately they're going to have to wait until February 18th. Now, at this point in time, these ships are just going to kind of stay idle over in those areas with all the crew on board. That way, whenever they actually resume operations, they don't have to send everybody home and then fly them back because it's a very tedious process. But anyway, guys, that is your cruise news for today. That's all we got. Let me know in the comment section below how you feel about all this. Obviously, we talked about some good, some bad, some ugly, well, depending on how you look at everything. But of course, just let me know. On your way out, guys, just please hit that like button, subscribe, and of course, share the video to other people. That way, YouTube can hopefully get my channel to 100K at some point. I don't know. Wishful thinking. Anyway, guys, I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you later on tomorrow. Take it easy.